Welcome to UpFront. Today, we will get to appreciate exactly what happened and all the issues behind the recent exercise of powers under Section 107 by the Bank of Ghana. Under the act known as the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act, the Bank of Ghana from yesterday appointed KPMG as official administrators for UniBank Ghana Limited. This came as a surprise to many people who were thinking that this bank, UniBank, recently was planning on taking over the ADB. Exactly what's wrong with that financial sector? The minority in Parliament is here in the studios to tell us, of course, it was their turn when they were in power, that the particular act we are talking about was put in place, and they are being accused of also being the one being behind what happened to all of these banks, making it virtually collapse or being on its knees at some point in time, requiring the kind of intervention that the Bank of Ghana is coming in with. Let's not forget, this comes on the heels of what happened at the UT and Capital banks. After this break, we'll be going into deeper waters on this particular matter and getting the minority to justify why they believe there could be foul play. You're welcome back. Now, the Bank of Ghana yesterday told us that in excess of its powers under Section 107 and 108 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016, they effectively actually asked KPMG, we know it as an institution of finance competence here in Ghana, has been appointed as the official administrator for UniBank Ghana Limited. This virtually means that they've cleared the top brass of UniBank, the very people who take decisions, and that KPMG is now the institution taking decisions on behalf of UniBank. There are a litany of reasons they have given for that. We would interrogate that particular issue right now. But Parliament of the Republic of Ghana is currently boiling. The other issue, which is also topical in the Republic of Ghana, is to do with exactly the agreement between Ghana and the United States of America, which allows not only special forces from the U.S. to be here and use some facilities, but ensure security cooperation between these two states. The defense minister has been organizing a press conference with the information minister dictating that it is worried that Ghana's parliament, especially those on the minority side, could be the spies in our republic who are leaking out information, sensitive information to the public through the media. This issue will be interrogating pretty soon. But let's go to Parliament. Let's get to speak to the vice chair of that particular committee as they get to find a way around it on this particular note as to whether they are actually getting the information out there. Well, we'll be going to Parliament in a second. But first, let's come into the studios here. My guest today is a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, the Honorable Benjamin Kpodo. You are welcome.
Thank you very much, Raymond. It's been a while.
Yes, it's been some time now. Yes, the last time we spoke, UT and Capital Bank had collapsed.
Yes, so you always bring me here when banks have gone down.
Oh, it's not deliberate. Okay, we can take advantage of your extraordinary competence in finance and also in this area to actually get some education on these matters. But first and foremost, I'll get quick reaction to what's happening in the House currently. The Minister of Information is very worried. He's worried that the minority is becoming the leaking source in Parliament. He says it is irresponsible behavior that when they lay sensitive information in the House or even give it to Parliament, some of you, your colleagues, or you inclusive maybe, will be sneaking out this information to the media and also to the public, an act which smacks of irresponsibility, especially when you're supposed to be honorable mayor. Why do you do so?
I think this kind of assertion can only come from someone who is not well informed about how Parliament works, and then the setup in Parliament. You have been there, your correspondents have been there for long, and they know that some of the publications in Parliament get to them even before MPs find them. You go to Parliament, the order paper is all over the place. Some correspondents from your various media houses hold these order papers, they hold vote of proceedings, they hold the Hansard before even my assistant will go to the mails room to pick them. Okay. So all these publications are laid, they are distributed in the mails room. Everybody who comes there has access to it. So he cannot blame MPs. The person who went.
So you're not saying that it was indeed leaked. What you're saying is that it could have been leaked by anybody in this case.
The paper was distributed, and we didn't distribute it. It was distributed by the Minister for Defense.
Yeah.
He caused it to be distributed. So we don't know who he distributed them to. We also had ours. So nobody can accuse us of leaking sensitive document which was brought to us. That is absolutely incorrect.
You cannot speak for all the members on the minority side. How
I am telling you
assured?
that even if minority people do not have it, the paper is just roaming around, is circulating all over the place. All papers, not only that one. Not only that one. Why is it all the reports that we prepare at committee level and bring forward to the speaker on the floor, they are all over the place. So you see, if he zones it to minority MPs, it's unfortunate. It means he's completely unaware. He doesn't know how documents move around in Parliament. It is wrong for him to assert so.
But, I mean, let's understand this. This is not the first time this is happening. Are you saying that you have no motivation as minority? You have no interest, mindful of how sensitive this is, mindful of the fact that left with votes alone, you will lose on the floor of Parliament, to circulate this so that public opinion will back your opposition to this particular agreement?
Why do you go there? The reason is that this paper is brought for the attention of Parliament, and we are going to conduct public business on the floor of the House, and it is going to be widely covered live by your correspondent and the radio stations, television stations, all report what happens in Parliament on a daily basis. Sometimes you even start the report before we adjourn. So eventually everybody will see this document. So why is there the worry about it being leaked? Leaked for what? Because it is a document brought to the floor of Parliament for discussion, for debate. And your people are in the gallery over there. They focus their cameras on us. They fix their microphones, and they are listening to every bit of word that is uttered on the floor of the House. So if even we were given the documents in sealed envelopes, whilst we are sitting on, in Parliament on the floor, once we open and start debating it, it goes out wild. Everybody will hear. So there is nothing secret about it. Is he saying that it's secret? Then we should have called for a closed sitting. And then the paper would not have been given out into the mails rooms before we even meet on it.
I guess
it should have been that.
But already, even before you discuss this detail with the rest of you in committee levels and at various levels, you are opposed to it. Even before you get to know the nitty-gritties of this argument, even before you meet the ministerial level, as is happening currently in Parliament, you have stated clear-cut opposition to it. It's not a very prejudiced stance by the minority.
Raymond, before I saw the document, I listened to the Minister for Defense on your station.
Okay.
And he clearly spelled out what is contained in the document. You asked lots and lots of questions to him, and he responded before I got to the House to see the paper.
Okay.
So who was the first person to throw out the information? Who was it?
You suggest it's the minister?
Yes. He came out with it. He came out with the document. So I knew the contents of the report before seeing the document, because he had discussed this publicly on your radio station and perhaps other radio stations. So there wasn't anything hidden about it. But what we are saying, our position is that the terms incorporated in this agreement amount to a sellout of our birthright, a sellout of our independence, a recolonization of Ghana.
Interesting.
Yes.
This is coming from a government.
In fact,
this is coming from a government that agreed wholeheartedly that we should have possible terrorists in this republic for no good reason.
It is
for no persuasive today.
It is an occupation document, because you have given an enclave to the military forces of another country, and over there, they only need ID cards to go there. They don't need passport. They don't need our visa from our immigration.
It doesn't exclude what they call it, visas in this case. It doesn't exclude passports, actually.
Then it means you haven't studied the document.
No, the document actually stipulates that it can be an ID card or what they call the passport.
Will you take your ID card and go to the US?
No.
So
but these are security forces.
So don't go there.
These are civilian personnel. These are security forces.
Don't go there. They are human beings. They are coming to our country. Get an exclusive zone where you and I cannot have access to unless they permit. And in fact, it is unimaginable that I will even be allowed to go there because I'm not a military man. So you see, it is an occupation. What is the purpose of the forces being stationed here? Is it to protect somebody? Is it to protect somebody?
But
or what are they coming to
But
do?
you are in Parliament. They've read out the rationale for this particular arrangement. First, it's for security cooperation.
Yes,
Two, it's also to make sure that the current terrorist threat in our sub-region is contained. Have you not read the document that stipulates so?
Let me ask you, where are the terrorists going to? Where are they going? They are bombing, the terrorists are bombing U.S. bases. They are attacking U.S. bases in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, and all over the place. So if we don't have the base here, do they have any reason to come?
Honorable, are you aware that the agreement states in part that there was already an agreement between the U.S. and Ghana regarding the status of United States military and civilian employees of the U.S. Department of Defense, which were in Ghana in connection with the African Crisis Response Initiative, effected in notes and concluded and entered into force in February 1998. Are you aware?
I am very much aware. But
are you aware that it was your government that was in power at that time?
Show me a base.
Yes.
Show me a base of U.S. military personnel with their equipment in Ghana. As a result of that agreement you have read, show me a base in Ghana.
You cannot lay claim to the presence of a base for a simple reason. That they have told you, the American embassy has also stressed the same thing, that there is none existing currently in the Republic of Ghana or an intention by the U.S. government to build one here. Why are you still pursuing this path?
What we are saying is that this amounts to the establishment of an exclusive zone where American forces and their equipment will be stationed. And that amounts to an occupation force on our land. And we say we don't want it because they are a threat to our independence.
How are they a threat to our independence? America has been here all this while.
Why did you ask the British colonial forces to go? Why? Is it not? They even colonized us. They stayed with us. They helped us to come up to this stage. Why have we asked them to go? If it is their presence that is going to do anything good for us, then we better go for the British. Why? We don't want them. That is what we are saying. We don't want them. And we are very emphatic that we will put all available resources at our disposal to stop this thing from happening. Even if we lose the discussion in Parliament.
You have no resources. All that you have is your vote, which is limited in Parliament.
I'm telling you that we go beyond the vote.
What do you do else? Because the majority is not going to vote for you on this matter.
So it ends in Parliament.
I mean,
do you remember that when the VAT law was first introduced by President J.J. Rawlings, NDC won the vote in Parliament.
Yeah.
But the VAT bill was withdrawn.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah, there was protests and other things.
Okay.
Are you saying that you're going to lead protests because of this?
I'm saying that we will use all available means to thwart this arrangement.
So now, tell me in clear terms, in the next few minutes, exactly why is the minority opposed to this particular deal? You have brought in some colonial argument, which I don't get it because there's U.S. embassy here in Ghana. There are military men of the U.S. who are cooperating with Ghanaians every single day. I have been to Achiase. I've seen military men there who are training with Ghanaian officers, some helping them out on the missions there. Cooperation in the sub-region has been going on for God knows how long. Exactly what is your argument against this particular engagement?
You want a repetition?
No, because the argument is unclear to me. I have
stated clearly that we consider
beyond your colonial point, because
we consider the presence of the American forces as a threat to our national security. to our independence.
And you're
able
to do that independent assessment when and how? With which security competence did you come to this conclusion?
Look, there are many people in our minority rank who have analyzed the situation, and we have come to that conclusion.
Who are these people specifically?
Do you want me to be naming names?
No, I want to know
telling you
those with the security competence to determine whether this is a security threat. I am telling you that
just as the NPP people in Parliament think that they have the security competence, so do we.
Because they're relying on national security.
I'm telling you that let the corporation
be. Are you also relying on national security?
Let the corporation be. Is the national security? Is it a new institution?
No,
it has been there.
Yes,
it has been there.
So national
why wasn't there the need long ago to bring the Americans and give them a plot to establish a base? The cooperation you have referred to, let it remain at that level, where we exchange training and training of personnel between Ghana and America. Let it remain at that stage. But what we are saying that for them to mobilize troops, equipment, get a zone exclusive to them, no.
Sorry, have you been told, as the defense minister said before, that they already have an airplane which is on Ghanaian soil, which has all of these joints that you're talking about, all of these facilities that you're talking about here in Ghana? Have you been told that?
If they are there under this agreement, then it is illegal.
No, they are not there under this agreement.
Well, then it's just a visit to come and do some operation and go away. We are not saying that we will not cooperate with America on security matters. It has been there. We've been doing it for a very long time. But what I'm saying is that to give them a place, an exclusive area, to establish a military base, we said no.
Okay. Forgive me. Let me hold on for a second with this conversation with you. Let me go to the phone lines. I get to speak to the Vice Chair of the Defense and Interior Committee, the committee that's currently dealing with the matter on this table now. The Honorable Collins Osuamankwa, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yes, first and foremost, the minority thinks this is an occupation. They insist that it threatens our national security. Those of you on the majority side, do you come to a similar conclusion that this particular arrangement and agreement, when it goes through, will threaten our national security?
Well, I must say that currently we are still in the meeting with the Minister for Defense. And as a referral has been made by Mr. Speaker himself to the appropriate or relevant committees, we as the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defense and Interior is the lead committee. We are joined by legal and constitutional, the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs. So it's a joint committee working on this project. And we're going through the said agreement, going through the various clauses or articles to see if there are some defects, then we rectify it before we present our report to the plenary for possible debate and also adoption.
I get your point. So why is there a need for you to, it looks like a very pretty long meeting with the minister. Why does he have to scrupulously justify to you really why this bill and this agreement ought to be approved or ratified by the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana? Is this standard practice?
Well, I must say that, and I want to put it on record, that government of the United States of America is not in any position to, as it were, establish a military base in this country. I'm sure that impression was created by the minority party in Parliament, and by extension also to NDC as a party. We think this particular agreement has to do with defense cooperation, and I think the emphasis is on defense cooperation. The status of the United States forces, access to and the use of agreed facilities and areas in the Republic of Ghana.
Okay.
Mind you, is about the U.S. forces currently operating in Ghana. And also, they want to have access and the use of agreed facilities. It means the facilities are already there, except that they want to as it were, enhance it, to upgrade their existing facilities on our soil. And I'm sure why this must degenerate into, intention.
Okay,
Because
Honorable, let me get clarity on this one. Article 5 states in 1, Ghana hereby provides unimpeded access to and use of agreed facilities and areas to the United States of forces, United States contractors, and others that have been mutually agreed. It doesn't sound to me like this is one that says you are limited to a section. It actually gives unimpeded access to all of these agreed facilities and areas inclusive.
Well, we are going through the agreement, and to be honest with you, I think Article 2, which deal with the purpose and the scope of the entire agreement, specify the purpose of this agreement. And even if you go through Article 1, I'm sure the minority group claiming that they have intercepted a document supposedly coming from a cabinet. The point is that agreed facilities and areas have been defined. So, this document we hold in.
We have been told,
the
forgive me.
facilities and the areas in the territory of Ghana as described in Annex A.
There's no Annex A attached to what you gave Parliament.
I'm sure the agreed facilities we are talking of has been clearly described in Annex A.
What are these facilities? Sorry.
A particular area that they want to have access to.
Honorable, I'm asking, what are these facilities specifically? Where are they?
Well, we are talking about, matters that relate to defense and security in general.
And the people of this republic have no right to know.
I'm not sure you push me to, disclose everything. But when you visit Kotoka International Airport,
yes,
you would know that at least we have some specified areas of which American, as a state, is operating from. And that is where they are appealing, or they have entered into agreement that we should allow them to have access to their own facilities with the sole aim of enhancing the said facility. So this is not a matter of we're going to bequeath to them, a different land for them to put up a huge structure as it has been, put out there. No, that is not the case.
So the section that talks about construction, exactly what kind of reference is being made to in this case for construction?
Construction?
Yes. It says that you should allow not only the contractors, but they can actually do construction, and all of these can come even on tax-free.
Yes, and are you worried about that provision?
Why shouldn't I be? This government has stated categorically that you are no longer, or you are reviewing your tax exemption regime in a way that you are being stricter on the implementation. Why does America get a pass and not Ghanaian businesses?
Well, that is something that we are still deliberating on, and we think nobody goes to the negotiation table, comes with empty hand. This is an agreement that we strongly believe that it will benefit us as well as the government of United States of America.
Okay, on that note, forgive me, I'm sure you're making a point, but you think it's beneficial. What are the direct benefits in this case? Can you quantify it specifically?
Raymond, per the said agreement, United States forces may undertake, activities in Ghana like training, sharing of experiences. Also, would be in position of indulging in combined exercises and other military engagement opportunities. A whole lot.
In all fairness, this has been happening already. So why do we need a new agreement to enforce this?
I think the only difference here is that they are seeking for an immunity
Okay.
That is, diplomatic immunity, so that the American, forces would have access and also sound mind to operate on our soil,
okay,
within a specific, enclave.
I want to wrap up with you, but minority says no-go area. They are opposed to it. Will you heed their plea and also join the call in opposition to this particular agreement?
No, but this is something that is their own facility. And if they are pleading that they want to have access to their own facility, do you deprive them of that?
You have the opinion the entire agreement is about a facility which they said they wanted access to, but you now say is their own facility. Are you saying that the two buildings that the defense minister referenced in the statements earlier are facilities of the U.S. currently existing here in Ghana?
Yes.
And so if the U.S. want access to their facility unimpeded, they still have to ask Ghana for access?
Yes, because Ghana is a sovereign state and we own our own land.
I see. We own our own land, but the embassy is actually on our soil. It is their facility. They don't ask you for permission to use their embassy, do they?
Well, by extension, I agree with you. Notwithstanding, if they want to alter anything there, it must be done in consultation with the landlords. And I think the state must be informed.
Finally, the information minister is making an allegation that's quite serious. He says that this document was given to Parliament, but the minority leaked it out to the public through the media. Is there any evidence to back this claim?
Well, it's true. And,
forgive me, but who leaked it? Specifically, who leaked it?
Hello, come again.
I was asking, who is the minority member of Parliament specifically that leaked this document to the people out there?
Well, I'm not interested to mention him, but if you would
yes,
me,
I hear you, but you explained to me the circumstances surrounding its release. Yes, please.
I think the MP for Ningo Pram, Sam George, was the one who posted the said leaked document on his, Facebook wall.
Okay, so he leaked it?
Yes.
Okay, now, are there sanctions for MPs that leak document before they are discussed in Parliament?
Well, this is a public document.
So what's the concern with giving it to the public anyway?
At the cabinet level, the moment it was tabled, at the table office, for it to be laid, that is where it got to the minority group, and I'm sure Sam George, after chanced on it, decided to, as it were, put it in the public domain, even before the committee sits to work on the draft document, before even we present our report to the plenary.
The information minister believes this is illegal. To your mind, he believes it is irresponsible. Does it rise to the level of illegality?
He believes what?
It is irresponsible for MPs to leak
on the part of
the minority.
Those, yes, who leaked it, yes.
But does it rise to the level of illegality?
Well, in all fairness, I think they should have waited for Mr. Speaker to have even made the referral.
Does it breach any of your rules, Honorable? Does the conduct of the
Parliament
MP...
is being governed by two majorities. That is the 1982 Republican Constitution and standing orders. And I'm sure it breaches Order 30F, if my memory serves me right. Is an affront to parliamentary proceedings.
So what happens to an MP who breaches the specific orders of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana?
Well, in all cases of proceedings where complaint is made of breach of privilege or contempt of Parliament, I think that Mr. Speaker may direct the matter be referred to Committee of Privileges.
You are vice chair on the Interior and Defense Committee. Is the majority interested in dragging the Member of Parliament to the committee purposefully designed to deal with the matter?
Well, that one will be decided by the leadership if we deem it fit.
Honorable, so when can we get to know a final decision by your committee on this matter? As in, when are you laying your report before the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana for subsequent discussion?
Raymond, I think I've already reiterated this point, that we're working on it. As we speak now, the meeting is still in session. The Minister for Finance for Defense is here. We are working on the draft document. All of us are going through clause by clause, article by article, to see if everything is tact.
Honorable, we have to leave it here. I'm very grateful for your time with us here. Thank you so much. And folks, we take a break and be back with our conversation. We need to do finance and also talk about UniBank too on UPfront today. You welcome back to UPfront. You just had my conversation with the Vice Chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee as they currently are in Parliament trying to get a way around this particular agreement. The agreement which seeks, among other things, to get Ghana have access, the U.S. workforce, to have access to and use of agri facilities in the Republic of Ghana. And this particular agreement is raising a lot of concern in this country. The minority is opposed to it. The majority say the facility already belongs to them. They don't want access to it. We may as well have to help them get it. But the Vice Chair hinted that some regulations, like the taxes and other things, are going to be reviewed to make sure that they are in sync with what we want to do as a government and as a people of this republic. A name has been mentioned. First was a bigger allegation. They've drilled it down. They say your colleague, Sam George, is the one who leaked this document.
Mr. Akwa.
Honorable.
Was Sam George the author of the document?
No.
So how can he have access to it to leak? Was he a member of the committee that drafted the document such that after the meeting that gave approval to this document, he alone went somewhere and leaked it to the press? The point is that they have brought the documents to Parliament.
Okay.
So anybody
they did not lay the document.
They have brought
tabled.
They have brought it to Parliament.
Yes.
So access is to anybody who normally goes to the mails room to pick documents, including journalists.
But first, you deny that it was minority that leaked it. Now it is pretty clear.
That is what I'm saying. You see, you are still referring to the word leak. And he's mentioning...
The minority shared it.
No, he is referring
before
to...
it was laid in Parliament.
I don't believe what he's saying. It is not true.
You don't think so?
It's not true. Sam George is one of the 275...
But he has not denied it. Has he told you that he did not do so?
Sam George is one of the 275 MPs who had access to the document. And in addition to MPs, other people had access. So if he's discussing it on social media, you know social media is very powerful.
Okay.
All what we did before I came here, did I see you? Did you see me?
No.
It's all because of social media we're communicating. And so Sam George can decide to discuss the issue once it has been brought to the fore. So that does not amount to leaking. No.
Right. Okay, now let me get some clarity on this matter because I'm moving on. I'm moving on to talk about a very important financial issue that's sending shockwaves down the spine of people in this republic about their deposits, regardless of the fact that there's a Deposit Protection Act. Now, the Bank of Ghana this week shocked all of us with another decision. For many who knew the state of UniBank, they were not so shocked. But the fact that under Section 107 and 108 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act, the Bank of Ghana appointed KPMG as official administrator for UniBank Ghana Limited. Bank of Ghana means that this is to save the bank, which is insolvent currently, from complete collapse and destroying the financial sector in this particular case. You in the minority are skeptical about the reasons the Bank of Ghana is giving. What's your basis for this claim?
Yeah, Mr. Akwa, let's start from here. These are legal issues.
Okay.
We passed the Banks and
Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act.
Institution Act last year. That's Act 930.
Was not passed in 2016?
Yes. Did I say last year?
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
This is just after the election year. Anyway, that's interesting.
Yes. So this law was passed, and that gave power to the Bank of Ghana under Section 107 to appoint an administrator to run the affairs of a bank which it considers in distress. So legally, the Bank of Ghana has used the law. And the official administrator is expected to have authority to run the bank in the first instance for 6 months. You see, they keep on saying 6 months, 6 months. But the law provides that in the first instance, the official administrator will run the bank for 6 months. Then another 3 months consecutively.
Yeah.
So it could be 1 year.
Okay.
It could be up to 1 year that the administrator will deprive the owners and managers of the bank from having access to managerial functions. That is what can happen. And this is all predicated upon the fact that the capital to asset ratio will drop below 50% of the Section 29 provision of 10%.
Okay.
That when it falls below 5%, you can't. And in this case, they claim it has gotten to negative 24. And that is why they have appointed an administrator. And under 108, it is lawful for the Bank of Ghana to do so. Now, the issues that we are raising is this. One, this position of banks, which is being highlighted for UniBank, is UniBank alone? Is it only UniBank which has come under the provisions under Section 29? Is it only UniBank?
Why are you asking that question?
If you know, if you are in the media, you are aware that about 10 banks, you don't ask me for their names.
Yeah.
You don't ask me for their names. Don't.
Why?
No, don't ask me.
You don't know?
I said don't ask me. It's not for me to come and declare. Did I declare UniBank in distress? I didn't.
No.
So you wait. When the time comes, they want to declare the
okay.
But what the issue
sorry,
we are raising.
The Bank of Ghana said that 9 of them were in this current situation. Some of them were helped out of the situation. The rest, according to Deputy Governor L.C. Awazi, are stabilized.
What I'm saying is that it is not only UniBank that is in this distress. And secondly, this is the extreme, or last but one point, which the Bank of Ghana is putting UniBank in. In Section 102, there are provisions for gradually returning the bank to profitability. And UniBank has already taken a number of measures to address its current position, to reverse it, to reverse it to profitability and compliance. So I don't know why.
Sorry, what are these measures you talk about? Because the Bank of Ghana says that it could not even declare its financial status to them as and when they needed it to be, and it had breached several regulations of this same act. Indeed, I have seen 102. It talks about remedial measures for banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions of financial holding companies, and all of these are stated. In fact, when they have failed to comply with the provision of this act, it states that the Bank of Ghana determines after an examination under Section 94-95 or otherwise based on information at disposal, a bank, specialized deposit-taking institution or financial institution holding company has failed to comply with the provision of this act or the regulations or directive issued under this act, has been engaging in an unsafe or unsound practice, has been conducting its affairs in a manner detrimental to the interest of its depositors and creditors. It actually states a retinue of issues.
Yes.
And so the Bank of Ghana may take action specified in subsection 2. Pursuant to subsection 1, the Bank of Ghana may issue a written warning. The Bank of Ghana said it did so. It proceeds to say that the Bank of Ghana may issue another order to the bank specialized deposit-taking company to remedy the action. It says it has already done so. So exactly what is your claim about things that were supposed to be done and yet were not done?
Yeah, okay. So let's look at a few things that the UniBank has done, information that is available to some of us. Yes, the Bank of Ghana claims that they have upped the liquidity position of UniBank up to an amount of 2.2 billion cedis. That is true. But UniBank has treasury bills worth 633 million Ghana cedis. So that is tantamount to a reduction in the 2.2 if it is to be applied. Then the contractors whose loans apparently are becoming NPL, that's non-performing loans. It's about 619, but they put out 428. Yes. And they are even ready to consign that from the Ministry of Finance to the Bank of Ghana to offset the 2.2 billion. So you start adding the 633
yes.
plus 428.
That's over $1 billion, yes.
Then UniBank also has foreign reserves worth 119 million Ghana cedis. Are you adding all of that? You see? And you know, Belstar has a lot of shares in ADB.
Okay.
Which adds up to over 700 million Ghana cedis. And this has also been pledged to UniBank, which even if they sell them now, the current market price of the ADB shares can fetch 550 million. So does that make UniBank really so troubled that we have to appoint an official administrator under Section 107?
Are you
so I think
that, or you think the decision is harsh?
Yes, exactly. I am asking a question for the general public to consider, that I think we should have halted so far at Section 102 and not skipped to 107 and 108, so that in fact, in the process, there is even a provision before you come to official administrator that you can appoint an advisor to the existing management. It is in the law, Section 102, that you can appoint an advisor to the bank to help rectify things. And I think during that process, all of these things will come to the fore for UniBank to be brought back to compliance with the rules of the banking law. So I think it is not even a triple jump. It's just a very big leap from where UniBank is to where it is not.
But it's not illegal.
Well, as I've said, they have adduced the reason. You see, you have a law. You have a law. Somebody must trigger it before it can be operational.
Okay.
Yes. Somebody must trigger it before it is operational. So if
you think there was no need for this particular?
I don't like to give this example of defilement. You know, when somebody defiles a young girl, sometimes illegally they go and solve the matter without going to the police station. Sometimes when there is an accident, these are bad issues.
Yeah.
They are not the same as what you are saying, but somebody must trigger the operation of the law. So why do you go and trigger just the last point of the remedial actions that should be taken? It could have been gradual using the 102 because it is available. And the facts about UniBank also suggest that they have assets. You see, so some of us are thinking that, you know, just recently there was a tug of war between the Bank of Ghana, Ministry of Finance, and UniBank on one side.
Yeah.
Yes, that relates to the well-acclaimed takeover of ADB by UniBank.
Something Bank of Ghana said never happened.
Well, it did not happen, but they realized that Belstar has about 41% shares in ADB. Then there is a 10% holding with SIC Financial Services Limited, which they also pledged to Belstar. So if Belstar has the total of 51%, and they pledge all to UniBank, then it means automatically UniBank has controlling interest in the ADB. And the Minister of Finance never liked the idea. You see the point? So it is soon after this. I am not saying that is the reason, but what I'm saying is it is soon after this small tug of war, which culminated in the Bank of Ghana coming out to announce to the public that no takeover had taken place. Soon after that, then this thing is happening. So if you want to create linkages, it is easy. It's easy to do so.
But you are not bold enough to state that the UniBank is being victimized for that particular position it took. You are not bold enough to state that.
I think it is...
you are just drawing linkages, which could be or could not be in this particular case.
I think it is victimization.
You think it's victimization?
Yes. Because what about the other 9 banks that he mentioned that are also hanging
but they have stated,
on the same rope?
And I've stated that LC Awaji says they are in very good condition now. They've been helped out of their distress.
I'm not sure.
Is this something you know that the rest of this republic does not know? Because the Bank of Ghana is actually doing banking supervision. You don't do banking supervision, do you?
I don't. In fact, I'm not working in the Bank of Ghana.
So how do you say you're not sure when the Bank of Ghana is telling you that the rest of the banks, which were
I have linked up information. I've provided it for you. It is at your own pleasure to discern between all these lines that I'm trying to draw attention to. So it could be, it could not be, but I stated clearly from the beginning that the Bank of Ghana applied the law.
I get you.
Yes,
but you also suggest that it is
but I think that it's premature to apply the endpoint provisions in the law because there are other intermediary measures which could be taken before you come to that point. And with the other information available that when it comes to asset-wise, the bank is well grounded. And all of these, even if are taken over, it can make the bank have a positive CAR.
What can the bank do in this circumstance?
Well, I cannot speak for the banks, but I know also that the law says one cannot take a bank which is under official administration to court. They cannot take the issue to court. So I'm not a lawyer. I'm sure that UniBank owners themselves may be holding important meetings at this time to know what step to take next. But I cannot prescribe.
Is the Finance Committee interested in this matter?
Well, we haven't discussed it at our meeting yet. We have been doing other things. This has not come to attention. When the UT Bank and Capital Bank collapsed, we waited a little and somewhere along the line invited the Bank of Ghana with Commercial Bank to come and explain to us what the issues were. And as at now, we haven't come to even a conclusion about what went wrong, what steps the government is taking. We only know that the government is planning to issue a bond of almost 2 billion to pay up the losses incurred by UT Bank and Capital Banks. You see, that is imposing some expenses on you and me because it is from our taxes that will settle the principal of the bond that is going to be issued and the interest thereon.
When is this bond going to be issued?
Very soon, you will hear of it. It is not laid before us now for approval.
Is there an issuance calendar already?
Yes, there's news about it, but
I've not seen it on the Bank of Ghana's website.
Don't let me be specific on that. I am not the Minister of Finance, but we know that there is a bond to be. It's being reported by IMF when they came here the last time for their review. This matter came up. They know that the bond will be issued to pay up the losses that were incurred because of the collapse of the UT Bank and the Capital Bank.
There's an interesting position in Parliament. The your committee chair and his ranking member are both saying that the directors of UT and Capital Bank should be made to cough up this amount of money.
That's so. Yes, you see, but that is why we call the Bank of Ghana to come and lay bare before us what accounted for the collapse of the two banks. If you read this one, there is reference to poor managerial practices.
Yes.
So let the Bank of Ghana come and tell us, it's poor managerial practices that completely caused the collapse of those two banks. And who were the managers? Who were the owners that led the two banks down the drain? Right now, according to this program which the Bank of Ghana has embarked upon with respect to UniBank, the managing directors, the deputies, the senior executives are to step aside.
Yeah.
So what has happened to the owners of the banks, those two banks, who by their very actions caused the collapse of the banks? And they are now pushing the losses to us, taxpayers, to bear. This is what you want to address.
Okay, now.
So you see, when we are in Parliament, it is not always the case that we take very partisan position. When professional issues come like this, we come to a consensus. We agree that, yes, if it is ascertained that these are the people who led the bank down the drain, they must be punished.
Okay, I get your point, but let me ask you this specific question. The question is to do with people saying that when it came to UT and Capital Bank's collapse, you admitted that these banks were not being run properly and that the people involved collapsed it. But when it comes to the issue to do with UniBank, you seem to suggest that it's some foul play being put out there. Why would you think
Where did you get the word foul play from?
I mean,
I
you
think we
said
suspect that it is possible that some other hands, are entering into this matter.
Okay.
That is our suspicion.
Are you willing to clear your suspicion?
Wait. I've given you copious reasons to suggest that UniBank is strong.
To be fair, you're giving me reasons that I don't have any facts to back them. You get what I'm trying to say? There are no documents to back these reasons.
You will soon see that from the evaluation that KPMG will do. You've got these facts, but they are there. They are there. When I say what do you call UniBank has foreign reserves, is it a secret?
Is that not the reason why?
When I say Belstar has 770 million cedis worth,
because we are wrapping up, it's not the reason why it was not collapsed, but rather taken into this administration change. If it was in a very terrible situation, it would have been collapsed, right?
And I'm saying
because it's on its way to collapse, and that's why.
I am saying that it is not on its way to collapse. That if anything, if there is any intervention from the BOG, it could have applied Section 102 rather than Section 107.
Okay, I get you. My final words to you, are you going to bring in the Bank of Ghana to Parliament again on this UniBank matter?
It depends on the outcome of our review of the situation. As I told you, we have not addressed ourselves at a committee to this matter yet. So when it is brought up, then whatever action is to be taken, the committee will recommend so.
Honorable, thank you so much for joining us today on UpFront. My guest today has been
my pleasure.
The Honorable Member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, the Honorable Benjamin Kpodo, and we've been talking from security straight down there to the conversation on finance. I hope you enjoyed it.